This is SY Sublime, and today I'm going to make a compass cover for my compass to replace the towel that I put over it. And it's going to pretty much just go around it and cover it. And then I'll make some slits for the throttle and for the gear shift here. So since I'm doing this one-handed, I've got a little bit of got my tape measure, and I put a bit of basting tape on the inside so I can do it one-handed. So I've got one, push that there. I don't understand inches, so I understand metric. So I'm just going to do all this in millimeters and centimeters. So, and I'll try and convert it over when I get the other side. So it's a circumference of 56 centimeters or 560 millimeters, and then I'm going to add a half-inch. Yeah, I guess half-inch. I don't know what it is. I think it's 12.5 millimeter seam, and then so that'd be 57. And then I need a little bit of just a little bit of play there, so it's not so fitting so tight, like really too tight. So I think I'm going to make it 58, which will be for the Americans, which will be 23 inches in circumference. And for the height, I'm going to do it to the bottom of this. Shoot off camera. The height, I'm going to do it to the top of this. And I'm going to add, so it's 240 millimeters, so 240, and then plus half-inch, which is already there for the seat. So I'm going to make it 250 millimeters, which is 10 inches for the Americans in the audience. So yeah, that's the measurements. So 58 by 250. So I have the cutout already done. I just cut this out now because it's just easier to do off camera than it was on camera. So it's 250 high by 580 in circumference, and then I cut a strip of Shelterite, which is going to go on the bottom here, just for shape wear. We probably really don't need it, but anyway, I have it. And then I have I've got some bias binding left over from another project, so I'm going to put that on the bottom as well. Probably don't really need it, just for unraveling, I guess. Make it nice, a nice clean edge. So I'm going to set up my Sailrite Ultra Feed sewing machine and get this basted down and get it sewn up. So I'm going to baste this down with a half-inch seam on it, and then I'm going to put the Shelterite over the top of it, shiny side down, and then I'll baste that down, and then I'll make a stitch along that. It's just really hard to do it with one hand. I don't have a stand or anything to hold my phone up properly. I have this cheap one here, but it always falls over all the time. It's terrible. And it doesn't sit in the right spot where my buttons are. It always cuts my video out, so I won't be using that. So when I get this basted down, I'll get back to you. So I got it stuck down, and I used the Sailrite, I don't know what this thing's called, ruler thing. Anyway, so I'm going to use that to stick the basting tape down. So there, that's down, and then I'm going to put some more basting tape on top of that, and then put the Shelterite on top of it. So I got the Shelterite basted down, and where do I put my scissors? I'm going to have to just chop the end off the So I'm just going to cut the end off. So I have this little system here where I have one end of my table is where I work on my project, like basting and cutting and stuff, and the machine's down the other end when I remember to plug it in. And I just twist my table around, spin my table around, and my machine's right here in front of me, and I'm ready to sew. So I ran another stitch down along here, second stitch for the back of the top of the shelter right. This is Sunbrella Ginkgo Green, and since I have like a tiki Japanese style, my boat with seagrass and bamboo thatch, woven bamboo, seagrass wallpaper, and that it's kind of like what I'm going for. I thought Ginkgo Green would be the best one because I like Japanese culture and everything about it. So I thought, that's kind of nice. So anyway, so I've ran that. Now I'm going to join the two together. So now I'm going to baste these down and get these basted down, and then I'm going to take it outside and make sure it fits before I stitch it. So I cut the top of this circle, and that is not cut it out, I'm sorry, I traced it out, and that is 21 centimeters, which is just a little bit over 8, like 8 for the Americans. It's 8 inches, and that's with a 1/2 inch seam, so that's what we're going to see. So yeah, that's that. So I'm going to try cut that out with the hot knife, and I will get back to you after this is done. So I cut the top out with the hot knife that I got. This little hook, there's a hook on it, of course, on the Sailrite hot knife. But this little hole thing here, I guess you lock the case up if you want to lock your case up. It's excellent for hanging your hot knife off so you don't burn yourself or burn anything else. So I'm going to stitch this to this now, and then I'll get back to you once this is on, because I need 2 hands for this, and we'll get back to you on that. So it's going to be a 1/2 inch seam on top, and that's it. And then I'm going to get the once I get this stitched up, I will put the waterproofing compound coating, UV waterproofing Scotchgard on this so the water doesn't get into it. I'll be back shortly. So I've got the lid, the top sewn on, and it came out okay. I've got a couple of pencil marks there I've got to wash off somehow, and then I'll treat it with the Scotchgard stuff. But for now, there's no rain here in California at the moment, so I'll be okay for now until it starts. I'll get that washed, put it in the washing machine and wash that off. So that's that for now. So now I'm going to take it outside and mark the slits for the control levers, so it'll fit right over top of those. So I've got it on the top of the compass, and I'm just going to make some marks here. One there and got one here. And then on the other side, if you see it, one here, and then what about, I can't move my thing, what about there? Maybe I just use the ones on the other side once I cut those out. So yeah, so I'll get that stitched up, cut. So I cut the little pocket slots for the helm controls to go in, and I didn't really like how they came out. I was supposed to cut them oval shape, but I ended up cutting them square. And I tried to use a hot knife on this, and it just burnt it, made it all black. I just don't like the colour of that. So I made these little weather things, I guess, out of Shelterite, and I'm just going to stitch these here, and then what I'll do is just cut one single slit through the middle, and that'll keep a little bit of weather out, the water out of where the engine controls are, because you get there's a little bit of water that could get in there, so this will just keep it out a little bit. So I'll do a stitch up here like this, and then one around, and then that would take care of that on both sides. So I'll get back to you when I've done that. So I've got the little, yeah, I guess they're functional but decorative too. They've got these put on, whatever these things are. I think it looks nice with those. I'm going to cut some slits in these now and put it on the compass.